them long lifts done.
I told the boss to come and get to work.
All right, so this is our weld shop. We do a lot of small weldments in this area. John right now is doing all the log lifts. And what do we do, run a 50 at a time roughly? 40, 50? Yep. And so John will get them all ready to go to powder coat. And this old 68-year-old outworks half the guys in the shop. So good job, John. But yeah, no, log lifts here, and then we're working on some conveyor parts over here, and then we do a lot of the wedges right in this bay. Normally we'll have 2 guys during the week running wedges all the time, and then somebody's doing log lifts or tanks or all these small parts that go with the bigger frames. Those all have to get done too. So over here we're welding hydraulic tanks. Tony does a great job. I think he's on like 700 tanks since he's had a leak. So yeah, good job, Tony.
Do you make your own wedges, or do you get the do you buy the wedges and then weld them on?
We make, well, it's our design. We have a machine shop do the beveling, but we cut them here and then of course do all the welding here. Back here we have the robotic welder, and that's like a 6 or 7 axis welder, and tables can work at the same time. So it can be the robot head can be welding while the table's rotating at the same time. So it really makes everything go a lot faster. And of course, it never needs a bathroom break, or it's not checking Facebook. So the timeline, I think it was like an hour and a half to weld one of those push blocks, and now it's down to like 40 minutes with the robot, because it can keep going, and rotate the parts, not stop, lift your hood up, take a drink of your coffee, and then flip the part over, and then get back to welding. So so that robot does pretty much all the push blocks, all the beams now, and it does all the compact commercial and 28 Pro chassis on that robot. So critical part of infrastructure here. This long bay over here behind you guys, that's where we do all our conveyors and in-feed conveyors. Nice long fixture table there, so we can keep everything nice and straight and square. And we have all kinds of attachments that go on those tables where you can clamp pieces together and whatnot. So those tables, I think they're about $8,000 a piece, but they're machine flat to within a few thousand tolerance across the table. So it's a huge investment, but also it pays off in the end in the quality. So a lot of the bigger frames will get welded over here during the week. Right now, I think they're just welding tanks for the most part right now. So tanks and maybe beams over there. This little corner back here is basically just storage. There's not a lot to see there. So next we'll go out here and then hang a right, go into assembly. Alright, so in this area we'll do, we have some machining that gets done in the corner here. It's a small knee mill, so that'll do small runs of machining, doing bevels on some parts. If we have to, we can bevel wings, but we make so many of the wings on the 4-way wedges that we have those outsourced for machining. And eventually we'll be looking at getting a horizontal machining center or a vertical machining center for doing all those wedges in-house. I think we send out about 500 of those 4-ways, or the wings, a month. out machining. So a little more than we can handle on that little mill. So we have those outsourced on a high-powered machine. So we get those done at place. They have a Haas machining center. It's probably 30 horsepower at the spindle, and running a 2-inch end mill, they can mill those wings in about 2 minutes, whereas it would take us about 5 minutes on this machine. So, all these machines here are all ready for QC, except for the orange one back there is waiting on a couple panels to come in. We're waiting to finish that one up, but all the rest of these machines are ready for QC, and then they'll go outside to where all the machines were staged for shipping.
What do you do for QC? Do you run it through the paces out on a?
Yeah, so every machine that comes through here, it gets checked twice. So the operator, the guy that's doing the assembly, builds the whole machine from start to finish, and then he'll fill it with hydraulic oil, put gas in, run it, and he'll check it over quick, and then it'll come over here for another guy to also run it and check it over. So that's how we make sure that everything going out the door is good to go. Not going to have problems going out the door. Right here we're building a 32-foot conveyor. Eric's working on the base frame right now, and then later on he's going to bring in the trough. We'd like to get the base frame done, get that all squared away to where we can just set the trough on top of it, marry it with we'll take the jib crane and lift the trough up and set it on here. So this gives him room to work without banging his head into the trough all the time while he's doing all the plumbing and hydraulics on that. Over in this area, we do all of our packaging, all of our bundle stations, express wrappers, the fire rings, all that stuff gets kind of assembled on this big table over here, and then staged on these the racks for shipping. Alright, so this is the main assembly area where we build all the splitters. Of course, we send everything out to powder coat. They're about a mile down the road. And all the frames outside, those are ready for assembly. We bring those in. Next one on the list, okay, bring that in, and we'll do most of our assembly on these lift tables so we can raise it up and down as needed. Lifting the engines are probably 80 or 90 pounds. So we kind of bear hug them off a part, set it on, or use our jib cranes to set engines and heavy parts on. But then basically we do all the hydraulics in this area, the engines, and then we'll roll them over here, fill them with hydraulic oil, and we'll do all our test runs over there. Normally we'll have 2 people finishing the compact commercial size, these frames here. There's usually 2 people working on these at all times, and then 1 guy doing high outputs and 1 guy doing verticals. And every once in a while we have to change it up, and depending on the mix and how many frames are sitting here waiting for assembly, we'll reallocate guys to do different stuff. But typically about 60% of what we do is in this frame right here, and then 20% or so. The verticals really took off in the last couple of years, so now we figured we'd sell maybe 10, 15, maybe 20 of those a month, and now it's more like 50 a month. So it's pretty crazy how fast everything changes. But typically we'll do all of our assembly right here, and then move it over for QC to check it over. Sometimes we'll ship out LTL out that way, or otherwise for dealer loads or customer pickups we'll all go out back. To think of the scale of things, I think we're doing about 100 splitters a month now, and that means we have 100 engines and 100 pumps and 100 valves and 100 everything, right, coming in, and that's been one of the biggest challenges, keeping on top of having those parts coming in and managing that inventory, so we're not sitting on, you know, $4 or $5 million worth of stuff instead of $2 or $3 million worth of stuff. So pretty crazy how it's all come along, and I gotta thank all the employees, you know, helping to manage this stuff. So Bob's probably taking a video or doing.
No, I'm not doing video. What do you want me to do?
I was just gonna say thanks, Bob, for making all of us stay on our toes here with, you know, all the shipping and sales and.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Happy to help.
Yeah. So Bob's kind of taken over the socials, obviously. He's done a hell of a job. Like, we've grown so much since Bob came on, and it's, you know, sky's the limit, really. So.
Thank you.
You bet. You bet. I guess that's kind of a quick tour. You got any questions?
So like start to finish time, Chris, from like the time you get an order in on, hey, I need this splitter, to the time that it's leaving the shop.
Sure. Right now we're at a 16 to 18 week lead time. So 4 months, you know. That's probably a little higher than we'd like right now. We'd like to be in that 12-week lead time. I think that'd be better, but way better than the 9-month lead time we had, you know, just not too long ago. So
Trending the right way.
yeah.
How many employees do you employ?
Right now, I think we're getting close to 40. I want to say we have 40 employees right now. Yes, sir.
Wolfe has got a reputation of being really well built. Are you afraid that sooner or later you build them too well and nobody's going to be needing to buy anymore?
I don't think that's never been a thing that we thought of.
50 a month, that's a lot.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, and right now we don't export anything. So you think about, you know, we have people every day asking, hey, when can I get one of these in UK or Norway or Germany, or, you know, there's still all that out, you know, all the rest of the world that we can market to if, you know, we ever slow down here. So yeah, no, definitely the quality has to be there. That's the only reason why we are where we are today, is because people trust that we're going to build something that is going to hold up. You know, if we start not doing that, then it all comes tumbling down, I think. You know. So. Yes, sir.
And you started this out in the garage, right?
I did, yeah. So where I started, I basically built a machine like one of these right here for myself and my buddies to use. And I had a highway towable axle. I would hook onto my pickup, bring it over to Menominee, about 30 miles away. We'd cut and split wood together, and we'd fill up each of our trucks and go home and whatnot. But I ended up losing my job a few months later, and in that time, like that 3-month span, I already had like 30 or 40 cords piled up. I had 3 years worth of firewood. And so I knew I didn't need the wood splitter, but I had to pay my mortgage. So I sold the splitter, and so many people called about it that I was like, I guess I could build another one. You know, I got a welder in the garage, and, you know, job search wasn't going real well, so yeah, I'll build one. Oh, guy by the name of Jack, he lives over in Minnesota. He's like, yeah, build me a red one, and he said, put a Honda on that sucker and bring it over here. I'll pay you cash for it. Okay, all right. So it took a couple weeks. I, you know, had most of it was scrap metal that I had in my garage that I used for the frame and the, you know, just tubing and stuff that I had from my old job. We were able to buy scrap metal. They called it scrap. It was probably a 4-foot long piece of tubing that they were just going to throw away. Well, I could use that, you know. So I bought it for scrap price from my old employer. and put it on the shelf, and you know, 4-foot long piece of 2x3 tubing, I'm not going to let that go to waste. So we used that to make the frame, and I scrounged up a beam from the there's a Polish Enterprises not too far from here. They actually have like beams that are used or short drops or chunks, just like I bought from the other place, and pieced this thing together in a couple weeks. And I brought it over to his house, and I pull up into this like mansion, right? It's like a 6 or 7,000 square foot house, 4-car garage. You know, like I'm worried about my truck leaking oil in his driveway, and out comes this guy. He's classic Paul Bunyan looking guy. He's wearing a red and black flannel checkered shirt and duck jeans and boots, and he's got a big beard, and he comes over, and he's about 6'4", you know, and I'm like super nervous, right? It's like, look, I'm looking at the house, like, are we going in this place? Because I don't know which door we're, you know. He's like, oh, don't worry about that house. That's the wife's house, he says. I'm all here in the wood shop. So he starts looking at his splitter, and he's like, oh, man, you really did a good job with this. And he's crawling on the ground looking at my welds, and I'm like, oh, God, he's not going to like this, you know. And it's just Rust-Oleum paint, and, you know, but he's like, man, you really did a good job with this. He's like, here's the money I owe you. Here's a couple $100 more. You go build another one. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Here's that. I got to find a job. My wife's going to kill me. And he's like, no, you need to build another one. Go build another one. You keep selling these, and you're going to do good with it. Well, geez, thanks. I didn't expect that. So I'm like, okay. So on my way home, I stopped at Northern Tool, and I bought another engine, and I bought a couple fittings I couldn't find elsewhere, and I had pictures from his machine in the first one, and I kept my Craigslist ads going, and sure enough, a few days later, somebody else called. They want one, and they're going to paint it themselves. I'm like, perfect, because I hate you can Rust-Oleum, you know. And it just kind of like kept going, and it just happened. I think it was, the time of year. I lost my job in the middle of August. I sold the first splitter, a few days later, and then, we're getting into September, and everybody's thinking about cutting wood and splitting wood, and kept those ads going, and always trying to make the things better, and I think number 7, I was finally tired of like trying to weld and talk on the phone at the same time, and so I hired a guy that was also laid off from the same place, and my little garage, I had 26 by 30 garage, and he would weld the machines on one side of the garage, we'd haul them out to powder coat, and then bring them back, and I would assemble them, right? And it was always kind of a thing, loading them on a car trailer with a cherry picker, engine hoist, and didn't have a forklift or a skid steer or nothing like that, so and it was fun because we had just enough power to run a welder or the air compressor or the plasma cutter, not any of those things at the same time. Like, careful, don't weld that too hot. You're gonna we're gonna have to run downstairs and trip the breaker again. Yeah. But then, I think we built 20 machines in my garage, and the powder coat shop was kind of slow. They only had 2 people working there. And they're like, hey, we got some space you could rent if you wanted. You guys could use our forklift and stuff and whatnot. And I'm like, well, how much would that cost? And she's like, well, it's, $400 a month. It's only 1,200 square feet, so $400 a month. How's that? I'm all excited, I'm like thinking about it. They got a forklift. They got a loading dock. You know, they powder coat them right there. I don't have to load them on a freaking trailer and drag them across town and worry about scratching them when we get them back here. And so I talked to the wife. The wife's like, $400 a month. We're gonna go broke. You know, like. So, anyways, I slept on the couch, and I paid the $400 a month, and I think we built another 70 some machines there, and we stayed there for about a year, and then we were starting to, okay, we need to make 3-4 of these a week, and powder coat shop was running out of room, we're running out of room, and we got lucky and found there was an incubation center down the road, maybe 2 blocks from the powder coat shop, who also had a forklift, loading dock, air compressors, office space, like all that stuff was already in there, and it was a place that it was kind of state. There was a state subsidy to help manufacturing companies grow and employ people. That was their whole idea was to help these companies grow and hire people from the area. And so the rent was fairly cheap, and they supplied, you know, the forklifts and some office machines, the copy machines and whatnot. And we were there for 3 years, and then again ran out of space, and then we put this up in 2020. So yeah, worked out pretty well for that.
What year? What was the year that you started in your garage?
What's that?
What was the year when you first started?
2015. Just happened to be slow with. I don't know if it was election year coming up type of thing, or what was going on. Oil prices were down, and you know, the place I worked for, we did a lot of stuff for Halliburton, NOV, which is National Oil Well Barco. We did a lot of stuff for the oil industry, and when the oil industry sees the price of oil goes down below $70 a barrel, they're like, okay, stop building everything, you know, and then here you are, laying people off. So it worked out at a good time. The guy that let me go from that place, I, you know, send him a text message every once in a while. Hey, you know, you got anybody else laid off? I'm looking to hire. You know, you know, I still need to send that guy, you know, a steak dinner one of these days. But anyhow, it worked out pretty well. So yeah. Now I was just looking to pay my mortgage, and now I got a little bit bigger mortgage in this this year. So yeah. Any other questions?
Is your wife proud of you now?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Hopefully you decide that.
All right, well, if that's all your questions that you guys have, I think that's all I've got for a tour until we add on next year. Well, we're looking at putting up another building, so possibly. We'll see. I think powder coat's probably the next thing. Machining, you know, some of those things that we need to work on. So yeah. Yeah, we own 14 acres. So yeah, we'll be able to add another quite a bit, you know. And we always have now we have the rails for if we ever go to shipping containers out, stuff like that. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for coming, you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
There's a guy taking pictures.
Kenny.
Yeah. That's my goal.
Well, goodbye so long then.